Namaskar, Jai Jagannath. I welcome you to today's Ekamra Talkies. Humanity Agro Aschanti. I see a lot of familiar faces, pretty regular. So we started this as a kind of series of storytelling on the city. Mane not really, not researched sharing of research or expert here, but people who have lived in the city and that bring in different perspectives. More recently, I was talking to someone, a friend in the UK, and she said that, you know, 88 pe got a term which has become fashionable now, called elder knowledge. That they are trying to capture that. That is something that, you know, we have always been doing, and that is the purpose behind Ekamra Talkies also. And very interesting perspectives we have been getting, and about the history of the city. For example, I mean personally, I to Satyanagar rahichi, but Anil bhai talked about Punjabi Colony, the wildlife that used to come, and it was very moving that local city suicide korthile railway track rehta side re, and the police had to stay vigilant through the night. Compaina pilua onya wildlife asi to khai debe boli dead body ku. So interesting perspectives. Ananta Mahapatra, when he spoke, he gave a very interesting perspective ki amara Saharatara topography is from west to east, but amara planning hela north south. So many others. Debu bhai, which was the first talk that we had. In fact, this emerged out of discussions with him. Ki kemiti loko kodi khautile, what kind of interesting places, what kind of, which was the first cafe. I mean, this is a cafe, but then what was the first cafe? So very interesting perspectives we have been getting. Interestingly, there is a pattern that has emerged in the last few Ekamra Talkies. We started with Anil bhai talking about Punjabi Colony, and then the next one was by Ilyana on Bindusagar, and she calls herself a Kotak girl, but then she said that it is Bindusagar, which actually, I mean, there were many reasons for moving to Bhubaneswar. Part of the factor was Kedu sir and other the cultural scene had moved here, but then how she fell in love with Bindusagar, and she decided to settle down there. So Satyanagar, mu aguru to bhabitli. So Mr. Khirod Patnaik, I have known him. My history with him and Madam PATTNAIK goes back to the beginning of Bakul, in the sense that jittal Bakul arambha hela mujhe Delhi re thili, and we wanted to start on the spirit of, on the culture of volunteerism, but then volunteers go to asile. Mu bhi Delhi re thili, mo sangamane so padhi thile, and then suddenly 3-4 din before the library was supposed to, of course we had an online campaign. Many people had pledged. She had also pledged, Madam had also pledged, and then this girl Shaila messages me the more exam sorry aichi, thankfully the March sorry hotla, and I am free, I would like to volunteer. So in Bakul, volunteers dropped from heaven. Event achi kaun haba, kemiti haba, and then suddenly someone dropped. So she became our first volunteer and was a very active volunteer. So, but then over the years, I have been observing both he and Madam being very active in the civic life of Bhubaneswar, and not just them, their entire family. His elder brother, many of you might know, Nikhil Patnaik, Srujanika Jain, Aramukarchanti, he and his wife. Anyway, so I've seen his work with the Plant Lovers Association, you know, with the Bhubaneswar Music Society, Music Circle, sorry, and many other things. Flower shows at the Plant Lovers Association, no? Plant Lovers Association, no? So many things. And then I thought that then it will be nice actually to have his story, because he belongs to the Jagamara Zamindari. And I remember when Ananta Musa spoke, there was a debate between him and Ananta Musa. Ananta Mahapatra talked about the absence of cultural life in Bhubaneswar in the 50s. And then he pointed out, but Jagamara re jatra hotla, eta hotla, seta hotla. And then there was a debate about so I thought that it will be nice to hear, get the view from the Ga. How did the Ga look at the city emerging, and at which point in time and how the Ga merged with the city. the Pattia is one area. Now the Jagamara area is a different, but no one will consider it. So we are very happy that he readily agreed, and I think we would like to continue this local stories. So I was also asking Debu Bhai and Anil Bhai about, it would be nice subsequently maybe to have also stories from Pattia or other villages, and then of course go on to other aspects of civic life of the story of the city, that we will do that. But before I hand it over to Mr. Khirod Patnaik, just khali out a announcement, choto announcement ki ame a Rathayatra ru, we have just started a special exhibition of books on the Jagannath culture. Both Cafe 16 and Kichi Bahi achi, but the main exhibition is at the Bakul Library. So any of you are welcome to check it out any day. Which includes coffee table books, which includes children's books, and also includes some scholarly books which were part of Baba's collection or people have donated to us. So thank you very much. A big hand to Mr. Khirod Patnaik, and over to you.
So, Namaskar. I hope I'm here. Okay. So, thank you, Sujit, for introduction. And although Sujit said, I don't know what you expect, what I will be talking about mainly is my experience of growing up in Bhubaneswar. Actually, this is hello. So I said, I will talk about growing up with Bhubaneswar, because Bhubaneswar was born in 1948 and I was born in 1955. So we actually grew up together. So I said, look, I'm not going to talk about growing up in Bhubaneswar, but I will talk about growing up with Bhubaneswar. How Bhubaneswar grew up and how I grew up. And it's going to be a lot of things about Jagamara itself. How Jagamara, what was the life like in Jagamara? For me, for my family, for our villages. And then we will talk about other things in Bhubaneswar. I've got a lot of notes, but please don't be afraid. He has given me 30 minutes to 40 minutes. These are basically reminders for myself. So I'm not going to take more than 30 to 40 minutes. So my life is basically in 3 phases. Till 1971, I did school here in Bhubaneswar. Then 1971, I went off to study outside, and then came back to Bhubaneswar in 84. So there was phase 1, which was school, phase 2 when I was not here. Then phase 3 is from 84 to now when I have been here for the last 40 years? 42 years. So that's, so my growing up, when I speak about that, it's going to be more till 1971 and little bits about afterwards. So Jagamara village stretches from Khandagiri Hills. Khandagiri Hills are a part of Jagamara village. Up to Pokhariput, the Union Bank staff training center, if you know where it is. And what was the village like? The village was mostly agriculture. We had massive fields there, which were all with paddy, and people were mostly agriculture based. There was one occupation which was not agri-business. There used to be a lot of stonemasons who did silo and chowki, if you know what silo and chowki are. So, but now that has disappeared from Bhubaneswar, from Jagamara. Now, silo and chowki come from elsewhere and are sold in Khandagiri Hills. So people go there to buy Shiva and Janki. Now mixes have displaced all Shiva and Janki. So, till I was in school, 1971 I left, we had no power. Electricity connection came to Jagamara in 1974. So, I have grown up starting in lantern light, and some occasions when you would play carom or some board games, and when there is a mela, there will be petrolized lights. There was no power, and it was hot in summer, so we would sit under the stars. All the beds would be outside, and we slept there. We never felt we had anywhere to cry. Because that thought was not there at all. And since there was no power, most people slept by 8 p.m. at the latest. You would get dark, so you would sleep by 8 and get up at the stroke of dawn, which habit has stayed with me even till now. I am an early sleeper and early riser. So, and the village had large tracts of paddy fields, as I said, and there were the mango orchards. It was full of mango trees. And Amma Balu Jatavara, Ambo Asudila, they used to come in bullock carts. You know the soccer with jo Laganti Odara? So it would come in Odaras, and it would be several Odaras. And it was never cultivated commercially. I remember my mother telling me once, she said, "Are इतने अम्बास क्या मैं कौन करेगा? आटा बुनेगा." And my grandfather got so wild. He said, "अच्छा, हमने अम्बो देखिगा? No, we don't sell mangoes." So he sent somebody to bring that back and just distributed it. So it was that spirit, we don't sell some things. And our food came from the fields. Rice was the main staple. The fish would come from fields and from the ponds. So there was one large pond in the village. It was called Khandagiri. And there were several smaller ponds. There was one pond inside our own compound. We had a huge compound, about 5 acres. And a lot of it was almost a jungle. And our house adjoined, our village actually, adjoined the Chamrita jungle. So there were a lot of animal incursions into the village. I have seen deers coming in, and I have heard stories where some leopards and all also have come into the compound. And stories of how they snatched cows from the house. And what was we had thatched houses. The whole village had thatched houses. And we had what is called a gopari. I don't know if you know what a gopari. Upper grandchildren. A lot of people would not know what a gopari is. Gopari is a mud roof. So the houses used to be like a gable, okay, sloping roof. So there would be a mud roof like that, and over that there would be a straw bed. And there would be a gap of about 10 inches to 1 foot between them. And that gopari was the place where a lot of animals stayed. There have been a lot of rodents, so something like Sarya Patnaik. Sarya Patnaik, nobody has heard about it.
Full in Lingaraj temple,
Yes.
they are full.
Sarya Patnaik.
They can't see the depot. You get a
Even today.
Even today.
Oh.
100.
I did not know that. So, Sarya Patnaik, snakes, and the whole village, like Bhubaneswar itself, was So, area inhabited by snakes, and all you know, you've all heard of cobras and Acha, all inhabited by cobras and all kinds of poisonous snakes. So, snakes were there all over the village. In fact, they would come into the house. Once I remember, I was lying down on a bed and there was a masari on top, mosquito net on top of me. And the door was open. Somebody passing by saw that mosquito net shaking very lot. And he looks in and says, there is a crate on the mosquito net. So I think I had a lucky escape that day.
Living to tell the tale.
What about the
Living to tell the tale.
I'm able to.
What
Yes.
about the crate?
So, 4 people picked up the mosquito net from 4 different corners and took it outside. I don't know whether they killed it or I don't remember. But it was there. So, we kind of lived with snakes, the whole village. Yet, in all these years, I have heard of only one person who died of a snake bite. Snakes normally would avoid human beings. So there was one young girl who kind of, stepped on a snake. She got bitten once kind of thing, and then she kept standing there and she died because the snake bit her multiple times. This was a cobra. And as Sunil said, we were the landlords of the village. We had huge tracts of paddy fields and other land. And it was a big house. When my brother got married in 1961, his in-laws came, some guests came from the village. And they started counting the number of rooms, which we had never done. So they counted the number of rooms, they reached 52. And they told us, look, we have 52 rooms. So we said, okay, that's good to know. we never counted till now. And I'll keep referring to this so that I remember. So, and there was the family temple, which was in front of the house. And the village, the main village road actually ran from one end of the village to the other end of the village. It was an arterial road. And the temple was next to that road. And the house fronted to that road. So when we said, I mean, also, it meant they go to the village road. Although our house actually adjoined the main, what you see, Khandagiri Pokhariput road now. But that was the back side. It was never the front side. So Bari Pate Mane, we were going there. And there were a lot of bamboo groves as we went from the house to the main road. About 100 meters distance, there are about 5 or 6 bamboo groves on both sides, thick. And winters used to be fun. We would collect all the bamboo leaves and set fire to those. And put some aloo or some vegetables there to get it roasted, which used to be our breakfast. So that is what life was like in those days. And the Radha Krishna temple, next to that was which was part of the house, was a veranda. A stone veranda which is about 50 feet long, 8 to 10 feet wide. And since we were the landlords and my grandfather and father were the village heads, so the village meetings would take place there on that veranda. And after my father passed away in 1964, my brother took over that duty. So he became the village head. So till now, of course, that is not there anymore. The veranda is not there, neither do meetings take place there. But we are still considered the head family in the village. And although Jagamara has become big, Jagamara at that time used to have about maybe 1,000 people at the most, some 300 houses, and 1,000 people are now would have become 50,000 at least, or maybe more, I never counted. But the village continues to be a village. When I say that, I mean the old villagers constitute a subset within that 50,000, and there is still, exchanges and things like that which happen amongst those people. Perhaps it's going to die out very soon. It's not going to last very much longer. We have been diluted. Let me say that. The village has gotten diluted, and too many outsiders have come in. So, yes, it's been good for the villages because they have sold land and made money, including us. But it's also been, it has taken away the village life. So, what else? So the Radha Krishna temple, just in front of that, also opposite our house, in front of the veranda I spoke about, we would have the Ram Medana. So, Vimana Asupile Sabu Vivinna Vimana, at least 8 to 10 Vimanas would come in there, and we have the Medana there. And 1 or 2 nights we'll have the Jagamara. So that used to be fun. So our veranda was the sitting place for us. Otherwise people sat all around the stage, which was maybe 25-30 feet away. And there was that huge, large area where people sat around. So when Sujit talked about cultural life, that happened regularly. And yes, there was palas, there was Baskalya, there was other cultural events which did take place. It was part of our life. And so that is why I differed with Ananta Babu when he said that before earlier there was no cultural life in Bhubaneswar, and theatre and movies brought it in. I said no, that's not correct. We had a very hectic cultural life, and anybody who had a birthday or something, there would be a Satyanagar and Baba. So there was things which were happening all through the year. And the Khandagiri Mela, there is Amaraju Vigraha, Ananta Keshri. So we have the Radha Krishna temple, and there is also a mutt where Ananta Keshri was the deity. And Ananta Keshri had to be carried to Khandagiri to start the Mela. Even today that happens. So there is a Vimana. Unless Ananta Keshri goes there, the Mela cannot start. He is the ruling deity. And the mutt is there, no more there. So Ananta Keshri has taken refuge in the Radha Krishna temple. So we have all the idols now right in front of the house. The temple is still there, and it is maintained. And my nephew actually now takes care of the temple, and it's very much there. And some festival takes place, although the Melana has now shifted. They shifted to the main road because the space was getting small. The village has become very big. There are a lot of spectators. although the number of vimanas which used to come has now, I think, not as many as they used to be. What else? And we had no toilets. There was no bathroom, no toilets. So we are adjoining Bari, the Bolsha used to be the toilet, open field. And a bathroom got built in 1961 when my brother got married. So that was there, but toilets came, I think, 3 or 4 years later. So we got the Barbali Paikana, which then our house got broken in phases to build concrete structures, and toilets came into that. And our water source was a dug well, which was there. So initially we would take out water with a rope, and later we put in what we call a hand pump. And the hand pump was our water source, and the bathroom was made right next to the hand pump, and one could pump water and the water would go directly to the bathroom. And there was a tank there, so somebody could pump from outside and it got water in the bathroom. Although it was not flowing water, it was still in the tank.
And that well still exists?
That well is still there. That well is very much there, the bathroom is not there. And there used to be another well in the garden called Bodakwa. We are temporarily living there, my nephew lives there. And that was not used for water actually, it was used for something else. But now it has become a drinking water well. The well which was originally used for our drinking water is still there. And the water is still pumped out of that for the nephew who stays next to it. So what were other festivals? I talked about Dola, Melona. Then there was Raja. Raja was a big festival. And we had a lot of mango trees, as I said. So there would be 1 or 2 swings on the mango tree branches. And children from all over the village would come and play there. That was a big affair. And Raja meant pita. And our house used to have lots of pita. And my mother, I remember her getting into the kitchen early in the morning and get out maybe in the evening. Anyway, we were a huge family. We were 9 siblings, and there were always other people in the village, on the house. So I remember 40 to 45 people almost regularly eating in the house, and their food had to be cooked.
So the kitchen was not our home kitchen, it was community kitchen.
Sort of, almost, yes. Actually, there were 2 kitchens. There was one kitchen which was manned only by my mother and the sister-in-law. They were only allowed into that to cook. There was another kitchen right next to it in a different room, which other people went and cooked also. They were not allowed into the main kitchen.
Did you have a separate kitchen for veg and non-veg or buffet kitchen?
Say, outer kitchen was for non-veg. But chicken was not allowed, even there. So chicken would be cooked, little away, about 50 meters away. My brother would get a chicken and pluck the chicken, dress it, and then he would cook it there. So chicken was considered impure. Fish and mutton were cooked in the outer kitchen. And mutton, that road which I spoke about, main road which connects today from Khandagiri to Pokhariput, that would come and turn, take a left turn and reach OU80, Bhubaneswar Mandira. So the road would be deserted most of the time. Maybe 3 or 4 vehicles in a whole day. And earlier there were no cars or motorcycles. So 3 or 4 vehicles in the whole day. And the mutton, the butcher would come and butcher the goat right there on the main road and portion it out. So the price he took was Bhagapicha Etika. There was no weighing. It was not half kg, 1 kg. That came much later. So I remember the one bhago paying 4 rupees for a bhago, which was roughly about a kg, I think. And that was only on Sundays. Mutton and Sundays. And other days it used to be vegetarian or fish, which would come from the pond or from the fields. From the fields, we had the dantia. I don't know if you have heard of the dantia. So rainy days means dantia was say field trade, deliver it, and we will get a lot of it. Yes. If you want to see all these things, you can see them at the Kodavumi, all these are there. So, and of course there was a dinky for our rice, taking off the rice husk. But we also had a rice hauler, what we call a diesel operated rice hauler, which was commercially operated. So people would come from all around with paddy for dehusking. And it had a Skoda diesel engine, a big diesel engine. And nobody could repair it here, so there was one person who would come from Jagamara, who was a railway repair person. And this gentleman, Khan, I forget his name. Now, he used to be with the railways. Somehow one of his legs got cut in an accident under the knee. So he could walk only with support. And he would come, he was the person who came, and all by himself would take the whole engine apart and service it and put it back. So that is one memory very.
There was no dinky.
Dinky, do you remember? So dinky was there for some Aura Chawla time. Bhoko Chawla. So that used to be only in the dinky. But otherwise, normal what we ate was from the rice mill. Then, Hegelen, oh my God. Okay, too many memories, so let me, if you're getting bored, please tell me. So anyway, what were the other major festivals? There was no Dasara. Dasara meant we worshipped weapons. There was no idols, no community Dasara in Bhubaneswar. There was Saraswati Puja and Ganesh Puja. And that happened mainly in schools, not as community functions. And we used to get new clothes only during those pujas or on the birthday. That was the time we got new clothes. And of course there was Khandagiri Pokhariput.
Bahama, when did it come?
Gahama came in the late 60s when it became kind of a fashion. It was, I think it was was kind of spread by some people that eating Kaiwana healthy. So Bahama came in at that time, and I think the Americans wanted to sell their wheat.
What type of it? Yeah, what type of?
It was 67, 68, sometime around.
Post PL 480.
Post PL 480. They wanted, because nobody would buy wheat. So they wanted to popularize it some or the other, and this was propagated. So, what else? Yeah, so let me talk a little about myself. Why did I study? So, the village had only a primary school. So, after class 5, I was there till class 3. Then, 1 year I studied in Cuttack. Cuttack, we had a house because my father was a lawyer and he would go to High Court in Cuttack. We had a house there. He would go Monday mornings and come back Saturday evenings. So the bus driver, there would be one bus which went from Kothai to Cuttack via Bhubaneswar. And the bus driver would come and stop at our house. Till my father got up on Mondays. He waited. And he would come back on Saturday by the same bus. That was the only transport available, public transport. Otherwise, there was a rickshaw. We had a personal rickshaw, which my sisters would go to school with. Then our doctor, family doctor, was opposite Lingaraj temple. So sometimes if somebody fell sick, the rickshaw would go to fetch the doctor to our house. So that was the only time there. Then from village school, as I said, I studied 1 year in PMA Garden. 64, my father passed away, so I did class 4 there. And then the whole family moved back to the village, except the ones who were still studying there. And I joined class 5 and 6 in Papovan High School. There is a high school in Papovan. So I studied there. And the path to Papovan was through a bushy jungle. So going there, there would be a lot of berries all along. So we would keep eating Contei Kodi and Sabarabaka Kodi and all kinds of berries. Going and coming to a railway question. And Papovan, I passed out from class 6 and joined DM school. DM school was established in 64, the year we moved back. But it had classes starting from class 6. And anybody who passed out, say from class 6, had to join class 6 only. There was a higher secondary school. And so I could not join for 2 years. And I joined in class 6 in 1966 and studied there till class 11. And Dean School was a fabulous school. The facilities, you are also from Dean School, but the labs we had, no college had those laboratories at that time. It was only in our school. And we had massive fun. There was good interacting with our teachers. There was a very good relationship with them. And I particularly was fairly active in the science exhibitions and all that. I remember sleeping a couple of nights on the bench, lab tables there. And it was real fun. The whole school days was very much a fun. And I appeared for the National Science Talents Search Scholarship, which was a big thing at that time. And I got through. And interestingly, the last 3 brothers, he talked about Nikhil, and the one under that, and me. All 3 of us got 9 students scholarship. Perhaps the only family in the country who would have got, all 3 got this. But I had to give it up because I went and joined engineering, and it was available only to pure science students. So only, what I missed was the summer camps. They would have lovely 2-month summer camps at all kinds of places, which my brothers went to. So I was quite jealous of them that way. But then I also had other consolations. I went to Punjabi for 5 years. And that was another life altogether. So that was about my school. Then, so after school, as I said, I came back only in 1984. And in between I passed out, I did work. I again did 2 years of study at IIT Bombay. And then came back in 1984 and met my wife. 1985 we met and we got married. 84 I came back and started a nursery. We used to sell plants, and that is, it became very popular, and I have done a lot of plantation all over Odisha. And luckily for me, couple of large hotels came up at that time. There was the Oberoi, and there was the Kalinga Show, and Pantanivas, and several other hotels and things came up. And since I was perhaps the only person there, I did all these jobs. So the entire, what you know as Trident today, the entire landscaping was done by me. And also Kalinga Show, what you see. And then I was outside, I did a lot of plantation in Bhubaneswar, in Sambalpur, and other Rourkela, all the areas of Odisha. So it was quite a busy time, and we survived on that. We also got 2 children during that period, and it was our livelihood.
It was still quite a village at that time, even at that time.
So, I
We
think
had paddy fields and mango groves and all of that.
Pokhariput had not come up. Pokhariput had not come up.
Khirod had not come up. It was there, but it was not that big. So our food still came from the fields, the fish and the rice, and we grew a lot of vegetables. And that is what our food was. Till as late as 2000, we finally built another house and moved there in the same compound. We still got vegetables, but what happened was there were a lot of monkeys who would come and damage everything, and we got fed up at some time and said, no more. And we used to have a lot of bananas, coconuts, and the banana would ripen on the plant and come to the house. In fact, for many years after our daughter moved out, she refused to eat the bananas outside because those were artificially ripened, and she just couldn't stand the taste of those. After having eaten naturally ripened bananas all her life, now I guess we have all adjusted. So that was about it. Let me say, and about 2004 or 5, the runway got extended. I don't know, you may remember, the Bhubaneswar airport runway got extended, and our road which went from Oyueti Chadeswari temple to the village got cut. And that discourages people from coming and settling in Jagamara. It was kind of isolated then. The road, the new road which is there now, from City Women's College till what they call the Jagamara Chakra, which I still refuse to call as the Jagamara Chakra. The Jagamara Chakra for me is very safe. So that road got built in about 18 and
2017,
17, 18, and that is when I consider that Jagamara got integrated into, or Jagamara was taken over by Bhubaneswar.
Only in 2017.
Only in 2000. Till then, we were kind of isolated.
No, but I think ITR actually brought in Jagamara into Bhubaneswar.
Yeah, but still, I think people hesitated in coming and settling there. It was only when that road got built, people said, we are now part of Bhubaneswar. So that is one.
85-86 Rota Motors came.
Yeah, so many things came. Rota Motors, the first Maruti showroom in Odisha, I think.
Yes.
So that was in Jagamara. And now it has become SOA University's headquarters. Then IDEA came. So Jagamara is grown a lot. And then Dharmavihar came much later, 2003-04. 3-4. Dharmavihar came in 2003 or 4.
The first time, Khirod took me to Jagamara, and
Yeah, late 90s.
Acha, maybe I am forgetting these.
the first time Khirod took me to Jagamara in 85, we were on a motorcycle, we crossed OU80, and then all around both sides it was pitch dark, we were it was evening, and there was nothing, and I'm wondering where is this guy taking me? I'm telling you, why did he take me out? Pura jungle achi. And then suddenly there was Jagamara after a very long drive.
So 3 kilometers from Jadeswari temple to our village.
Then you take the right turn and
Then you reach Jagamara. And so also the first habitation after you reach the Jadeswari temple. So that's about it, and maybe some interesting snippets, let me tell you. Jagamara, there used to be a lot of tourists who would come to Khandagiri. And there was nothing to eat there. They would look for some food, snacks. And I heard people saying after years, totally unknown people. Because ours was the only house there, and they would come in. So there would be food for anybody who walked in. That is how our kitchen used to run, almost 15, 16 hours a day, 14 hours a day maybe. And what else? Again? And so we had our own milk and milk right here. I remember my mother sitting and churning by hand. We had a hand churn, and she used to do all that. And I don't know how many of you know Nandan Kanan first started in Khandagiri.
Yes.
Yes. So there was a what you call a trade fair in Delhi, and they took some animals there from Bhubaneswar. Somebody said, look, if we put some animals there from Odisha, it would be interesting. And it was. A lot of people came. And when those animals came back to Bhubaneswar or to Odisha, where to house them? So they built a few enclosures right next to the Khandagiri Dharamshala, backing onto the Dharamshala. And that was 1960. I remember because I got scratched by one of the monkeys.
Bhubaneswar ମାଙ୍କଡ଼ ନେଇକି ଯାଇଥିଲେ ଆଉ
Odisha animal
ଦିଲ୍ଲୀ ମାଙ୍କଡ଼ ତ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ମାଙ୍କଡ଼
So that is another, and from there it shifted to its current location next to Kanjia Lake. I think within a year they shifted. And the botanical gardens came up in 63. But Nandan Kanan, we still claim part ownership.
What about that Mohima Tungi?
Mahima is still there. That was the first ashram.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that was the second ashram. The first ashram was at Tapovan.
There was one in Padampad Mundial.
That is next to the hill.
On the top of the hill. Padmapad Mundial, near Chandakatla.
Seita to alaga, but Mukosi Jagamara, there was the mud right next to the hill,
It's still there.
right at the bottom. It is still there. And there was another ashram, Tapovan, Mogi Baba wrote there, and he started the school where I studied for 2 years. So that was the other matter. Now I understand there are 7 to 8 months all over Khandagiri.
Please talk about the airport.
Airport. See, the airport had no boundary. There was no boundary wall. So one could just walk into, and I and my sister once walked into the runway. Right next to the runway.
Passengers भी होते हैं कि आप लोग घर ऊपर
But there was an aircraft which was parked there, and the pilot was there. So he took pity on these 2 children and took us inside, showed us the cockpit. I still remember the shining brass, levers and valves and all that. So that was also a great experience. Then the boundary wall came out back. And we got totally cut off. In fact, from our first house, we could sit in the veranda and look at the country. There was nothing in between. And that is all gone now. Too many houses are come and the view is no longer there. So that's about it. But let me tell you about a tree that we have, which is there at the junction of the road which comes from our house till the main road. So at the junction there is a tree which is called the Kumbi also. The name comes from its fruits, which are like kumbha. I was trying to get one. 5 years earlier, I saw plenty of fruits on the ground, but today I didn't find any. So I couldn't bring one. That tree has been struck by lightning twice and was almost completely burnt out. And then the cyclone, the 99 cyclone, almost blew off all the branches, leaves, everything. So 3 times at least it has been almost dead, but it has recovered every time. So that's why I call Jagamara. We may be down, but we are never out. We'll keep coming back. So that's it. Thank you. Any questions, answers?
The name Jagamara has the Buddhist connotation, the derivative.
There are many things which people say how the name came about Jagamara. So, one of the stories is what you are saying. Another story is
Buddhist connotation.
अच्छा कौन होता है बुद्धिस्ट
Actually, it is an archaeological site also. Somehow all of have been destroyed, but there were finds there. There were some caves also.
there are actually more Jain caves.
Oh,
than-
Jain cave.
Ah.
Jain cave.
So Emperor Khirod used to rule from there.
Yeah.
There is the Rani Gumfa.
The Sati Gumfa inscription is the.
They stayed, and there is a bench which used to be his throne. So Emperor Khirod ruled, and it's a huge kingdom. It's not a small kingdom which is there.
It can be a good excavation site if they do it. But
And
now
Jagamara-
everything has been made.
and so by that logic it could be a very old name. But what are the other stories about
Yeah, so one more story is, if you remember, there used to be a kind of bund, a high sloping thing which came right from Khandagiri it came up to Gondamunda. And then I guess it went further. It was sloping like that. This story I have heard is that was one of the slopes which were used for carrying stones to Lingaras temple. So Jagamara, Jago is top. So that is how the stones were lifted to that height because of that sloping sloping ramp. So it started 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers away, and that was the point. It was still there. It is still, parts of it are still there. If you know, you can make out. And it used to get flooded during rainy season. Our fields, I have personally walked in about 3.5 feet of water inside the fields. And because it used to get flooded, I don't know where the water has gone. They seem to have diverted the water, and now it is all houses, concrete houses.
That Dhaneshwari tank also, it's now, it was perennial.
Huh.
Now it's, the groundwater has gone.
But the rain is still there. Not that the rain is not there. It is still rain.
No, percolation is not happening, with all this construction roads and all, groundwater recharge is not happening.
The rainwater is still there as much as it
Must be there, but runoff.
That's what is to happen.
I think one of the unfortunate parts of the development in Bhubaneswar is where we used to stay when we got married. It was a huge area, about 6-7 acres.
About 6 acres.
6 acres, and it had 4 ponds, and these were perennial ponds. You couldn't ride those ponds. So it was called Jagamara because it was spring fed from the Khandagiri Hills, and there was a stream that went and connected with the main Khandagiri road, the canal. That canal or that stream has now gotten buried under all the houses. So those ponds have all died.
All over the
city. That I think has been really, really sad. Because those used to be fresh water all the time.
And you would have, the 3 arterial roads in Bhubaneswar, the Katak Road, Janpat and Satyanagar Marg. So I have seen Satyanagar Marg and Janpat. They did not connect to the highway. They were Satyanagar, that culvert was not there, and near regional college that culvert was not there. So the road would come and stop at our school or just beyond our school.
Regional college, what happened is that culvert was there, science center culvert was there. But subsequent to that land got litigated. There was a litigation. There was a litigation. So that gentleman didn't give the land to the government. So that connection was not there for Satyanagar Marg.
So the land was perhaps there, but the culvert itself was not there. Or you are talking about Janpat or Satyanagar?
I have a picture of a culvert in 1962.
You are talking about Janpat? No,
Satyanagar
Satyanagar Marg was not there. I am dead sure because we used to walk, under in summer because I was in school there. To go to Khandagiri, we would go into the fields and then go up again.
Yeah, that's the science center, in front of science center. Culvert was there, but next to that, people used to go down. and walk down.
But anyway, my memory is different, but if you see so.
No, there is a picture, somebody has given me a photo, proper photo.
Okay. And then the connection from Jadavia to Oberoi Hotel was also not there. That is very recent. 1885 it was the culvert was made.
Which one?
The connection from Jadavia junction to Oberoi.
That Palight's opposite that
Culvert.
culvert was done by your friend Inkipuri.
Yes.
So 85 is the year. Because I used to do the landscaping there. To drive into Oberoi, one had to go around Sanic school and come there. The other, if one could walk down and go, but it was not possible during rainy season. Okay, so anything else anybody wants to say? Sure.
अच्छा ମୁଁ ପଚାରିଥାନ୍ତି
हाँ.
ଜାଗମରା ବାଲାଙ୍କର ଗଣ୍ଡଗୋଳ କାହା ସହିତ ହଉଛି?
हमें
ନା ନା କୋଉ ଗାଁ ସହିତ କି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରିଆଙ୍କ ସହିତ କି
we were quite self-sufficient.
ମାନେ ଗଣ୍ଡଗୋଳରେ ସେ
ଆମ ଭିତରେ ଗଣ୍ଡଗୋଳ ହେଇକିରି sir.
ଜାଗମରା versus ଗଣ୍ଡମୁଣ୍ଡା
ଉପର ସାହି versus ତଳ ସାହି.
anyone else has any questions?
I just wondered,
वर्षा
एक तो हमची जो चिकेन पका होता ताको तुम थोड़ा भी पका होता तो सेटा कोन आपण कहली जे गुडा बाउंस बुदा भी थिला से बाउंस बुदा पाखरे होतला कि एटा नंबर 1 और नंबर 2 से टाइम रे जागमरा जो पॉपुलेशन थिला से अलग अलग कास्ट थिबे तो किछि से दलित लोक भी थिले जे बीफ खाइबा दलित भी थिले किछि.
So our acre chicken used to get cut much closer to the house. Bounce out here. Okay. And you're right, there was many castes. So even today there is Bauli side. There is a Kumbhara side, Bauli side. Bauli side are still watching. Then there was Pana side and Hadi side. जोड़ा रास्ता मेन रोड आला पड़े थे तो थिला विभिन्न साही थिला and the settlements were there but the villages used to participate in all weddings and things. So I remember going to Bauli side to eat if there was a wedding there. We would sit separately but we were there. So that way it was a lot more egalitarian.
पाना साइड बीफ खाते तो
Beef खाउतले नहीं मुझानी, but they would skin the dead cows. Pana में Pana Panadi side, one of them would skin the dead cows.
Mike
Thank you, sir. In fact, you mentioned the term outsider.
sorry
Outsider, you mentioned. So how do you define the outsider and how do you see the arrival of outsiders in your village then and their role till date, and how do you see the role of outsiders in present times?
So I define outsider came and settled after the mid 60s or late 60s. That is what I meant by outsiders. Okay? And I did say that when outsiders came in, the villagers made a lot of money because they sold land, and land had become expensive. I remember in early 70s, there were no buyers at even 10,000 rupees an acre. Today, land in Jagamara is about 15 crores an acre. So the land prices keep going up, and it was because of people who came and settled there. So that is what I meant by outsiders.
I had a question here. Sorry.
In fact, I did try to understand it in didn't want to give it a negative connotation. But the thing is that I want to see what kind of role they have played in whether in your view, do you think that they have embraced the very place which you feel like your native and
So I don't use these overarching words. English becomes an overarching, overall word. For me, they brought in a lot of money into the village. variety of people. They brought in education, like IT, but also they diluted the village spirit which was not there, which is there in very small pockets. So like we have certain houses which are considered as Malavais. So if they have a death, we will all go there and help with the cremation and everything. So that kind of thing disappears. So I don't, say good or bad. These are the effects which happen.
More good accompanying question. ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ଗୁରଗାঁव ବିଷୟରେ ପ୍ରଥମେ କହୁଥିଲୁ, easy money came in and the whole people without any education or whatever paisa and the show of that money. Did you have that this new money that has come in has created that kind of, because sometimes ଆମେ ତାକୁ pejoratively go ahead patia ଲୋକ ସେମିତି ପଇସା easily ଆସିଗଲା and ଏବେ ସେମାନେ ସବୁ ଗାଡ଼ି କରିକି ସବୁ not the kind of civic life that we would expect, so in a negative sense. So has that thing been there?
Frankly, if there was, I am not aware of it. Because anyway I was out from Satyanagar. At the main...
Yeah, but main development to last 20-25 years rehla na.
So...
Development in the sense of the urban...
So, as outsiders came in, they brought in money and also the villagers became rich because of that.
But the richness, the did you find a kind of crassness in terms of the money coming in and...
Yeah, there was. The villagers' spirit slowly started getting diluted. And...
it's a natural process. Same thing happens in Raghunath Cross.
So you
find young people there who have a lot of money, or their parents had a lot of money because of the land, and they have become quite crass. Yes.
मद गंजेई और भांग आर प्रसाद केमती थिला जागमारा रे आप
गंजेई सबवाले भागवत टुंगी रे चालू भागवत टुंगी गोटे थिला गार and गंजेई was there all the time, at least whenever I have seen. Bhango गंजेई were parts of life. Mother was not there. Mother came afterwards.
Bhubaneswar में मदर आसी
Yes, that is Bhubaneswar.
Mother or chicken?
मदर चिकन
Khandagiri Mela is one spot where the Babas come to stock up for the year.
That's right.
Standard.
So,
अच्छा स्त्री लोग भांग खाउथले कि आपन पिला बले आपन एरिया रे
he is looking for scandal.
because my grandma used to have
I guess some did.
Maybe as a laxative.
Well, that may have been an excuse.
बुढ़ाको तो बुढ़ाको
Budaiko.
Toilet के भी जब बुढ़ा को
Exactly.
ଆଉ କାହାର କିଛି
चा पीला के बेस
ଚା ଗାଁ ବଜାର ତିନିଟା ଦୋକାନ ଥିଲା। ମୁଁ କହୁଛି 60s, mid-60s ତିନିଟା ଦୋକାନ, ଦିଟା ଜଳଖିଆ ଦୋକାନ ଥିଲା, ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୋସରିଜ୍ ଦୋକାନ ଥିଲା। So ଚା used to be there in the grocery, snack stores. ଆଉ ଘରେ ଯିଏ କଲା sugar was something which you bought from outside. Guda ame ghare randha hotla. They would say there would be sugar cane cultivated and we used to make our own good.
Okay, I think end kariba. Just for the knowledge of everyone, ame goda record koruchu and the entire jaha purba editions भी थिला talks गुड़ा, they are all on the Bakul Foundation YouTube channel. under the playlist Ekamra Talkies. But apno sunla pare, you know, I really think, Manas bhai, we should have, with your support and maybe some other people, a kind of village history of Jagamara. You know, and maybe of at least Bhubaneswar.
Village histories of Bhubaneswar.
Village histories of Bhubaneswar. Exactly. When I starting with Jagamara, because it will be very interesting after those stories. Personally, of course, you know, that was when the Iliana Ghara was a beautiful house. Their house was very beautiful. I would volunteer some of you might know Old Town Café. So Sarmisha kela, hey Shela, tor bhai ki nahi, bhai. And then you know, Vishal got to that was the first expression. And I also happened to eat. I don't know. Said I am bhuli jauchi. Mate Shela gote deep freeze drew. Bahar karta biryani kahla keda kichh borsa rachi. I don't know the story, exact story, but apparently it was in very good condition. It tasted very well. So there, I think they had always been. I think they had a history of stocking up for sujis who may come at any point in time to eat.
The problem was she was working. I was outside. I didn't know how to cook for so many people. We didn't have a cook. So we had a person who used to come once a week, and he would cook and put in casseroles, and we would label them with the items name and the date. Put it in a deep freezer.
And they had this huge deep freeze, you know, that you can kill somebody and put them into the deep freeze, that kind of
So biryani came out from there.
Yes.
So that is Sujit's story.
But yeah, I think it can go on. So thank you very much, everyone, and I'm sure there will be a lot of other stories. And it was great, you know, to have Madam Snigdha Patnaik talk, also bring in, because sometimes I was just wondering if before we end, you have some other and both interesting matter, you know, film पर देखा जाओ थिला, like she going on a motorcycle or two-wheeler heavy motorcycle पूरा अंधार मित्र ने जागमरा सिला, and then finally she sees अच्छा runway क्या रहा मुझे बहुत ठीक अच्छी उधर बाहर पे की रही. So I was also imagining things, but so I'm sure you know we'll have, many of you can connect with him if there are things that you want to know further. We will definitely connect with you to, you know, kind of deepen this history of the place. So thank you very much, everyone, and